I think play is important for all generations because it's really the stuff of life. It's what helps to create social bonds.
Play is important because so we can invent things and we're not bored.
Because we're kids. So we can not just enter the physical world, so we can enter the mental and social world.
So they can actually not just like read a book, do math, but they can actually play with things.
It allows children to express themselves and use their imagination.
I think play is important for all generations because it's really the stuff of life. It's what helps to create social bonds.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Mike Gable. I'm with the City of Pittsburgh, and I'm the Director of Public Works.
Kara Simonello. I'm from Pittsburgh Association for the Education of Young Children.
Todd Wallin, CEO of Kids Plus Pediatrics.
Marilyn Russell, Curator of Education at Carnegie Museum of Art.
Marika Hecht, I'm the Director of Education at the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy.
Travis Lewis, Physician Assistant and Athletic Trainer at Kids Plus Pediatrics.
Alexandria Grant, Play Advocate Intern for the Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative.
Josh Lippert, Pittsburgh City Planning.
So Pittsburgh is a transformation city, and you know, we're not the industrial, dirty steel town that a lot of people still think we are. We've been able to change that through the years with a number of renaissances, through a number of different administrations, and it's also being able to utilize and collaborate with the technology sector, which is very prevalent in the city of Pittsburgh, but also working in conjunction with the medical and the educational institutions. We're a city that's 55 square miles. We're a city that has a 310,000 population, and glad to say that the population is now increasing rather than losing it over the years. And we have 171 parks and a plan to actually connect all those parks throughout the city by means of trails, bike lanes, or whatever other means of transportation we can do. The past and current administrations are strongly supportive of all the recreational assets that we have in the city for everybody. And we've been twice named most livable city. The administrations also have created legislation and ordinances that for the comprehensive safety of all the residents that use the playgrounds and hold us to standards and guidelines that we have to follow on a daily basis. But our strength is the support of our private sector and the nonprofits, many of them which are up here tonight, or today I'm saying, with they introduced. And transformation also pertains to our playgrounds in the sense that if you think back years ago, everything was a standalone play equipment. Then we've moved to modular, and now we've got the manufacturers creating things that are actually in a lot of our parks, natural environments, the natural elements that are in our parks. So as a city, we're receptive to whatever that new next style of playground is going to be.
So earlier this year, we got a new mayor, and his vision for the city of Pittsburgh is to become a model city. A model city that'll attract about 20,000 folks back to the city. We, as a collaborative, decided we wanted to build on his vision from Pittsburgh, and our goal is to be a model city for play, specifically. And how we want to do this is we want to continue to push the envelope. Mike talked about transformation and how we've sort of moved along the years and started to be progressive with our thinking around playgrounds. Our goal is to utilize the notion of a play space to get our community members, our decision makers, anyone from a parent to a legislator, to be pushed a little bit around their thinking around play. So our big idea is to design and build an out of the ordinary play space that'll push people to really reflect on and think about their play-based ideology.
Gaps in educational achievement, largely income-based, health, and the need for a stronger community cohesion to bring together and overcome that siloing that derives from our spectacular landscape, which is lots of hills and ravines. These are challenges, health, stronger community cohesion, and gaps in overcoming the educational achievement gaps are challenges that our city faces, and that we see the need and the opportunity actually to embed play and playful thinking into the strategies that we use to address these issues. Our bold goal will challenge the status quo, redefining play in ways that are consistent with our transformative and forward-thinking city, and will catalyze discussion through action to change existing attitudes and reframe play as something central rather than peripheral to the life of healthy cities. Our plan will complement our existing parks with dynamic, creative, out-of-the-ordinary spaces that will serve as magnets for kids and adults from across our geographic neighborhoods, where they can discover that play is really about being open to unexpected outcomes, physically, intellectually, and socially. As we have shed our industrial past, we have attracted the tech-savvy and the creative who are combining art, design, and innovation in startups all over the city. And we seek to engage them as resources that we can tap those who have already chosen us to help attract them to our vision. Players in our transformed city will lose their fear of unfamiliar people and experiences in the intrigue of a collaborative game or the discovery of what's at the end of a path, or when we play together with ideas to transform the in-between spaces or abandoned spaces into places of opportunity. Players in our new spaces will take risks. They will revel in the dizzying thrill of climbing just a little bit higher than they've ever climbed before. They'll learn about cause and effect and about consequences and find the joy in the everyday and in nature and in each other. Our players will use all of their senses and engage the brain pathways that they all connect to. We envision places where adult and child players can grow together as individuals and come together as a community, proud of its distinctive neighborhoods and also of its shared traditions. Those new skills and abilities and creative habits of mind honed through active play will transform the legacy of Pittsburgh so that in 2024, the 20,000 new residents will not have moved to the Steel City. They will live in playful Pittsburgh. So we have a question for our panel of experts. How do we make these adventurous and critically important experiences with play available to all of the playful adults and kids in the Pittsburgh region, especially those whose daily life currently includes a profound degree of risk and challenge that threatens rather than bolsters their growth and opportunity?
So that's a big question. And I'm going to see if there are two panelists who'd like to respond to that, starting with Stockton.
So start somewhere. I think the advice would be similar to what Ben offered Spartanburg. It sounds like you have a whole bunch of amazing ideas. You don't probably need a great big visionary plan that tries to connect them all together. Do a few that really show what you're envisioning and build from there.
Dr. Lee?
I think in terms of the areas of highest needs, there are ways to look at prioritizing them by health and social outcomes. So, you know, the Fresh initiative that I talked about was around healthy food, fresh zones, right? So health, economic development, and planning work together to define what those zones would be that where those incentives would be specifically available, right, to attract supermarkets. So think about whether there are prioritized areas based on health and other social indicators that you can use, and then what sorts of incentives you might create, whether it's, sometimes it's incentives, other times it might just be city infrastructure building, right? But if you're actually also trying to get partners and you incentivize them to actually play a part in that, then you might define those zones where, you know, those incentives are available, and other zones where there isn't as much of a need, maybe they're not prioritized initially.
That's great. And a round of applause for the team from Pittsburgh. Thank you.